Hello, my name is Mary Summer, and today I'm going to be talking about the course HEFB 222 and everything that I learned throughout the semester. I'm going to talk about my field-based experiences, course concepts and activities, my personal strengths and weaknesses, and ways that I can implement what I learned through this course in my own future classroom.
Throughout my time observing in the field, I took away many things. The first takeaway that I learned in the field is that a successful teacher is always prepared. This means having a lesson ready each day and backup materials ready if things do not go as planned, which they don't always go as planned. The second takeaway I learned in the field is that a good teacher genuinely cares about the well-being of his or her students. This looks like taking the time to hear their concerns and taking the time to help the students that need a little extra help. This also entails respecting the students with how a teacher interacts with them. The third takeaway I got in the field is the importance of communication as a teacher. This means clearly explaining to the students what is expected of them to avoid confusion. This also means communicating with other teachers and faculty effectively, mostly through email. This means clearly communicating and communicating promptly. Now I will be talking about how the course activities, readings, and discussions have contributed to my knowledge and preparedness for teaching school in a modern society. Throughout this course, I have been taught the importance of being sensitive to different family structures. The modern family nowadays is not what one might think. Both a mom and dad are not always present, if present at all. So using proper language when referring to family members is important for me as a future educator to keep in mind. Another important course topic I learned during this course is the importance of asking and calling students by their preferred name and pronouns. We live in a modern day and age where not every student's sex and gender correlate, so it is important as an educator to be aware of this in one's students and to call him or her the right name and pronoun. I learned the importance that one's own name entails and why it is important to call students by the right name. Lastly, during this course, I learned the importance of disability services in the classroom setting. There are many different disabilities that students may have, both physical and mental. As an educator, it is important to be educated on what your role as an educator is when providing disability services to students, as well as in recognizing potential warning signs in students that may need to be reported. Now I will be talking about my own personal strengths that I observed throughout this course. My first strength that I observed is that I am very perceptive, meaning I can easily pick up on what is going on in people's minds, especially if something is wrong. This is good for detecting students' moods and ensuring safety in all of my future students' lives. The second strength that I found is that I am very passionate, which is incredibly important as an educator. Students learn best from teachers that actually care about what they are teaching about, and I hope to be incredibly passionate about what I teach to students in the future. The third strength is that I am very creative, which is very useful as an educator. Creative teachers find different ways to convey material in new and interesting ways. This facilitates learning in ways that students are not used to, which is generally a very positive thing. Now I will be discussing some personal weaknesses that I observed in myself throughout this semester, as well as some strategies for overcoming these weaknesses. My first weakness is that I am not always the most organized. In order to overcome this weakness, I will have to get a planner, folders, and a binder at the beginning of each semester. If I have the correct materials and force myself to use them, I can be very organized. It is just a matter of getting myself in the headspace to get organized. The second struggle is that I struggle with procrastination. A strategy for overcoming this weakness is that I will plan out in advance the days I will complete certain assignments. This is what I currently do to help my procrastination, and it really seems to help. The third weakness is I have a tendency to be lazy. A strategy for overcoming this is that I have to force myself to do things for the betterment of myself and my future students. Once I'm doing something, I'm fine. It is just a matter of getting in the headspace to begin a task where I tend to struggle. Forcing myself to get into a routine really helps my laziness as well. Lastly, now I'm going to be talking about some implications and strategies for my future classroom based on what I've learned this semester, and how I can ensure that I will create a safe, inclusive learning environment for all students. The 3 strategies that I will implement to create a safe, inclusive learning environment for all of my students is to 1, make an active effort to learn all of my students' preferred names and pronouns. 2, I will not assume specific family structures within my students' lives. I'll be sensitive to different family structures. And 3, I'll be an open door for all of my students to confide in.
Thank you for taking the time to watch my final assessment video. I hope you learned more about the course HEFB 222 and how it will affect me as a future educator.